I've uploaded new content on my YouTube channel every single week for 3 years. In today's video, I'm going to share my exact workflow, which allows me to be so consistent. By the way, this video is sponsored by Storyblocks, more on them later. So let's start by talking about ideation, because in order for you to create good content, you're going to need some good ideas. Now, a mistake that you're probably making when it comes to coming up with great content ideas for your YouTube channel is that you're forcing yourself to be creative. Let me know if you can relate to this. Have you ever sat down and forced yourself to come up with great content ideas? You've sat at your desk with a notepad and pen and you've given yourself 30 minutes to come up with an incredible YouTube video topic idea. The problem is that you are forcing creativity, and that never really works. What you want to do instead is create a notepad that you can access whilst you're on the go and add video and topic ideas as and when they come to you. A lot of the time you'll notice that they'll come to you when you're on the bus or having a shower or just like random ideas. So you need to be able to add to this idea list as you go. I have so many content ideas in my notes app on my phone. Like, you don't want to see that notes app because it will blow your mind, it will confuse you, and it will probably make you a bit worried about me. Now, on occasions when I'm really struggling to come up with content ideas, I will tap into a few different things. The first will be my audience comments. Let's see what you guys have been saying under my videos, what you guys are asking for. I'll also head on to Google, I'll type in some keywords related to my niche, I'll click on the news button, and I'll see what articles are popping up, because that can help me figure out if certain things are actually trending within my niche. I also check out the inspiration tab on YouTube. I don't know if you guys have seen this yet, but if you head to analytics, you click on the inspiration tab, YouTube will actually give you some video topic ideas based on what your audience are already engaging with. Now, before we move on to how I plan my videos, I do want to take a quick break to talk about Storyblocks. I have to admit, in the early days of my journey, whilst I had a similar workflow, the entire process took so much longer than it currently does. For example, when I was a newbie creator and I used to edit all of my YouTube videos myself, I once spent, brace yourself, over 12 hours editing a 10-minute simple talking head video. Over 12 hours. Not in a row, you'll be pleased to know, but it took me over 12 hours to edit a very basic video where I was literally sitting down and speaking to the camera. You might be wondering, why did it take me that long? Why? It was because I was trying to do really fancy effects and transitions and graphics, and I just didn't have the experience or the skill to be able to do that at all, let alone in an efficient manner. Now, things would have been significantly different if I had used Storyblocks back then, because I would have been able to use their video templates feature. If you're not familiar with Storyblocks, it's a media subscription service which gives you access to a vast library of videos, templates, images, audio effects, like literally the list goes on. Now, the feature that I was referring to that would have saved me so much time was their video templates feature. It basically allows you to choose from thousands of pre-made video templates. And these templates, guys, are professional templates that you can use to create your own professional level content in just a few clicks. And these templates are available to use across so many different editing platforms, including DaVinci Resolve, Premiere Pro, After Effects, and Apple Motion. The templates allow you to easily add motion graphics, animations, text, images, etc. in just a few clicks, and it massively enhances your video production. Now, when you sign up to Storyblocks, which by the way, you can do so for just one monthly fee. So the one monthly fee gives you unlimited access to all of their audio, images, videos, and effects. You actually become legally covered to use all of those assets throughout all of your content, which means you don't have to stress over your legal rights before sharing your content, and it reduces the likelihood of you having to deal with things like copyright claims on YouTube. Storyblocks has curated a stock library which includes everything you need to create incredible video content at one monthly cost, and all of it is in one place. So to get started with unlimited stock media downloads at just one price, head to storyblocks.com/jadebeeson or head to the link in my description. All right, let's move on and let's talk about how I actually plan my videos. So the first thing I do is I go to my list of video content ideas. I pick the ones that I'm most excited about. You know, when you just have that feeling in your tummy where you're like, this is the right video. And I'll schedule that content out for the next few months using Asana. Now, you can use other tools to do this. For example, you can use ClickUp. I've just used Asana to plan my entire business and life for the past few years. So here's a behind the scenes look of what my content calendar looks like. There's a few different colors on here because I love my color coding, but what I want you to focus on is the sections in red, because these are my YouTube videos that I've planned out for the next few weeks. And you can see today, for example, I have a video what's due to go live about how creators actually make money. If you want to see a more in-depth tutorial of how you can use a system like that one to plan your content, I recommend watching this video. Now, this is also the part of my workflow when I actually start to think about sponsors, because as you would have seen, I tend to plan out my content topics a while in advance. And when I work with sponsors, I like to figure out which video topics their product will seamlessly fit into, rather than creating video topics based on their product. That's a good way to ensure that your content still performs really well, and also that your sponsorship seamlessly fits within your videos. If you're struggling to do that, if you're looking at the videos that you've got planned out for the next few weeks and you cannot see see where this potential sponsor will fit in, I'd recommend that you reconsider whether or not that sponsor is the right fit for you, because really it should seamlessly work. I'm not trying to mess with your money here, I'm just saying. Now, once I've planned out my content calendar with all of my amazing content ideas, my next step is to schedule time to actually film that content. I always like to do this around the same time when I'm scheduling my content ideas, just to make sure that I've left sufficient time to actually film and edit the videos. Usually, I like to leave at least 2 weeks before the video goes live, but sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. Regardless, now that I have a good idea of what video is going to go live when, I can then schedule a filming day a couple weeks before the live date to make sure that I can get it done in time. Before we move on to my filming days though, there is a very important step that we've not done yet. We've not scripted the videos. Now, I have a confession. I don't script my videos in the same way that other people do. What I tend to do is write prompts instead of a script. Now, the difference between the two is that a script usually will mark down exactly what you need to say word for word, right? Whereas prompts are usually bullet points, which just jog your memory about the different points that you're trying to make throughout your video. The reason why I prefer to do prompts over scripts is because when I script things, I tend to come off a little bit robotic. It's hard for my personality to shine through. And also, I find that I mess up more. If you are someone who currently scripts your content and you are finding yourself stumbling over your words, I recommend that you try doing prompts instead. This is an example of what my prompt document looks like. I have a separate one for every single month because I've just filmed so much content. And I'll refer back to this document every few minutes when I'm filming the video. Now, are you ready for some pro level tips here? I mean, you can't respond to me, so I'm just gonna assume that you're saying yes. The first pro tip is to prep for your videos the day before you film. I know that sounds ridiculous, and I'm not usually one to leave things to the last minute. That's not really my vibe. But when you prep for your video just before you film it, whether it's the day before or the day of, you end up benefiting from recency. Like, you've written down all these prompts hours before you've actually filmed, which means that when you sit down to film, all of that stuff is still fresh in your mind, and it's so much easier for you to just like effortlessly talk about it, right? Also, another tip, if you're prepping for your video content the day before you film, I recommend that you also charge the various things that you're going to be using whilst you're prepping, just to make sure that when you sit down to film, you've got everything that you need. Now, if you work with brands on sponsored content, you might be asking yourself, like, how does Jade get away with prepping a video the day before she films it if it's got a sponsored section?
How is that possible?
Basically, if I'm working with a sponsor, I will usually iron out the prompts for the sponsored section way in advance. So like, I'll do that in advance, of course, because they need to approve it, right? But the rest of the video, I usually prep the day before, unless the sponsor has asked me to do it in advance. And I usually try to avoid doing that as much as I can. A lot of trust comes in here. Like, a lot of the sponsors I work with, I've worked with consistently for months and months, maybe even years. So they do trust me to just prep a good video and film it the next day. So not everyone's gonna trust you, and that's okay. Okay, the time has come to film the video content. I'm not gonna lie, guys, I'm not actually using this microphone. I just added it there for effect, so I'm just gonna move it down. This is potentially the most important part of my workflow. This is when I actually sit down to film my video content. Now, a few things go into this process. First of all, there's the dreaded setup. I actually hate setting up my flat for filming. It's not even that strenuous. I just find it tedious. Essentially what I do is I add one softbox light, I set up my camera, I turn that light on, I move some things around so that the background looks better, and then I sit down and I start filming. Now, I batch my filming sessions. I like to film between 2 to 3 YouTube videos in one go, partly because I don't want to have to continuously set up this flat every day in order to film. Also, because I don't want to do this full face of makeup every day. This is like a special event type of makeup. And lastly, because it's efficient. This is an efficient way for me to create content consistently on YouTube. There's a couple of things that I like to consider before I actually go ahead and set up my studio to film. The first thing is, how am I feeling? If I'm in a mood, like if something's happened and I'm not feeling up to it, I'm feeling down, I usually won't film. That might sound ridiculous to you, but the thing is you guys can tell when I'm off my game. Like, I've filmed videos before when I've been going through a bit of a low time. And when it's come to me reviewing the edit of the videos, I've had to scrap the whole thing because I'm like, my energy is so low that no one's going to enjoy this video. Like, why should I be projecting my negative energy onto you guys? You guys haven't done anything wrong. You deserve to have the very best, or at least a decent version of myself when you're watching my content and learning from me. Therefore, I do pay close attention to my mood. And also, I'm not gonna lie, this is quite a big thing. I pay attention to the weather. It's currently summer, and if on the day that I'm supposed to film, the weather forecast is saying that it's gonna be over 30 degrees and very sunny, I probably won't film. I prefer to film on cloudy-ish days because it's easier for me to control control the lighting. But also I live in like a hot box flat. Like it gets so hot. I've got huge floor to ceiling windows and doors in here. Heat rises, like it gets so hot. And I usually have to shut all the windows and doors so that nothing messes with the sound. That's just something else that I keep in mind. And it's something that you might want to consider as well, unless you live somewhere where you have aircon indoors, in which case that's probably not a problem. Also, in case you're wondering, I usually schedule 45 minutes per YouTube video for filming. Sometimes it takes me longer. Most of the time it takes me less than that. So usually by the time that I filmed 3 videos, everything's balanced out and I've given myself enough time. Okay, so I filmed my content, and usually after I've done filming, I literally feel on top of the world. It feels like the biggest relief to get it done, but the hard work is not quite over because now we need to edit the content. Now I am talking about my workflow in today's video, and I do have a video editor. So this section might look different depending on who you are and how you edit your video content, right? I have a video editor, which means that my next step after filming is to immediately transfer all of my files over to Jamie. That is my video editor's name. It's also my husband's name. So yes, I completely understand that it's very confusing. Now, when I say files, I'm not just referring to the video file, although obviously that's the most important part. I'm also referring to things like screenshots, screen recordings, any audio, sound effects, videos that I've downloaded from Storyblocks that I want him to use. I'll send that over as well. Any logos that I need to include. All of that additional stuff, I will try my best to send that all over in one go. I say try my best because sometimes I forget things, but I try and send everything over in one go so that Jamie has everything he needs to get started with editing. In addition to all of the files, I'll also send over a brief. Now, the brief is usually pretty short. It includes important elements like what's the deadline, like when do you need to edit this by? But also it will include any specific editing requirements if there are any. So if I know there's something that I want to appear on the screen at a certain time, I will flag it with Jamie prior to editing so that he has all the information he needs. Now, once Jamie has done the editing, he will send the video back to me using a website called frame.io. This website allows me to review the video and add comments at specific time points throughout the video content. So it just makes it easier for me to feedback on it, right? I will go through it, I will add my feedback, and if there's a lot of feedback, I'll normally ask for him to send me another link through frame.io. If there's not a lot of feedback, then I'll just get him to send me a Google Drive link straight away so that I can go ahead and download it. Because if there's not a lot of feedback, then the chances are Jamie will implement everything and the next version he creates will be the final version. So it's easier for him to send me the actual file link rather than to send it to me via frame.io again. Now, another thing that I do when I'm reviewing this video content is I make notes on the video. The notes that I'm making when I'm reviewing it are things like when I need to include a video card, which is when like a video appears on the screen. So, you know, I feel like I did this earlier in this video. I did when I spoke about like, if you want a tutorial on how to schedule your content using a calendar, then watch this video. That's something that I'm going to pick up on when I'm reviewing this edit, and I will mark down the time in which that video card needs to appear. I will also write down things like articles or products that I need to link to because I've mentioned them in the video. This makes life so much easier when we get to the next section, which is all about scheduling. Okay, let's move on to the final part of the process, scheduling. Believe it or not, this is also a significant task, and I do usually batch my videos that I'm scheduling as well. I'm just such a fan of batching. It's actually a bit embarrassing. Scheduling is referring to the process of uploading your freshly edited video content onto YouTube and scheduling it so that it can go out without you having to lift a finger. People underestimate how long it takes to schedule your videos on YouTube, especially when you're doing it properly. Now, I always upload and schedule my content from my laptop, even if it's short, because it allows me to do it in batches. So I can just select multiple shorts, multiple videos, and upload them all at once. Once I've uploaded the content to YouTube, there are a few things I need to do before the video is ready to be scheduled. The first thing is that I need to create my thumbnails, which I create and design by myself. At the moment, I actually have a masterclass where I literally take you behind the scenes and show a full tutorial on how I create my thumbnails. I will link to it below. I then create a title and description for my video, and I make sure that it's optimized for search. Now, I use a tool called TubeBuddy to make sure that I've done this. Again, I have a masterclass where I dive into how I use TubeBuddy to do this. I'll link to that below as well. But essentially, I use TubeBuddy to find the best keywords for my videos and make sure that they're in my description and in my title. I have a template for the bulk of my description that I copy and paste under all of my videos. And this is also the part of the process when I refer back to those notes that I made previously. You know, the ones that I make when I'm reviewing the edits? Those are the ones. I refer back to those because that will clearly tell me what things I need to link to in the description and also what cards I need to add. So that brings me on to the next step. I will add any video cards that need to be added to my YouTube video before setting it live. And I always add an end screen, which is basically when a video pops up on the screen and allows you to click it at the end of the video that you're watching. You'll see it in a minute if you don't know what I mean. Now, once I've done all of those things, I've added my tags, which again, I use TubeBuddy to be able to do that. The video is done. It's ready to go. And I'll schedule it to go live according to the content schedule that we made at the start of the video. Now, pro tip here, because you know I love the pro tips. The pro tip here is to set reminders for when your videos are due to go live, because if you get in a habit of scheduling your content in advance, which I really want that for you because it's quite the way to live, right? Your content goes live without you even needing to lift a finger. The one downside to that is sometimes you forget that you've got content going live and it kind of goes live without you really checking in on it. So I like to set reminders when my videos are going to go live, just so that I can click on the video, check everything's okay, respond to comments, do stuff like that before like moving on to the next video, you know? Okay guys, that is my entire workflow. Do not forget that you can check out Storyblocks by heading to storyblocks.com/Jade Beeson. If you feel like hanging around, I recommend watching this video. It's basically a detailed breakdown of everything that you need if you are a new YouTuber. So it's a must watch for anyone watching this video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I cannot wait to see you in my next video.